Luckily, when it comes to the devastating jobless number here in the United States, with more than 20 million Americans losing their jobs in April alone, there are some Democrats in the Senate who want to propose some common sense solutions. The question is, can they accomplish them? Are they going to fight for them? And the latest proposal that we're seeing comes from Senators Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, and Ed Markey, who will release their monthly Economic Crisis Support Act. It would dramatically expand upon the $1,200 sent to Americans as part of March's gargantuan coronavirus response bill. Now, this legislation is definitely much more robust compared to what average Americans were given in the previous relief bill. For instance, the legislation would send a monthly $2,000 check to people who make less than $120,000. It would also expand to $4,000 to married couples who file taxes jointly, and also provide an additional $2,000 for each child up to the age of 3. Now, the payments would also be retroactive to March and last until 3 months after the Health and Human Services Department has declared the public health emergency over. And so I like this because there's definitely much more of an emphasis on helping average Americans as opposed to bailing out massive multinational corporations. But the question is this the type of solution or proposal that would even get the time of day in the Senate, which is, of course, controlled by the Republicans?
So the original bill gave away trillions and trillions of dollars to the largest corporations in the world. So now, of course, the number one thing everybody's talking about is, can we afford this new bill? Look, under normal circumstances, without any context, that would be a fair question. But it's amazing, but still disheartening at this late date for me, that when they're giving away the store to corporations, that question about can we afford it, what will the debt be, what will the deficit be, is never asked. And the minute we turn to how can we help average Americans, every article asks, how can we afford it? Is it possible? Is it doable? Etc. So, by the way, I don't know if the progressives will like this, but I think that the question should be asked in both instances, not in neither instance. And then, I would want to see, if I was president or a senator that was thinking about supporting this, yes, how much does it cost? Yes, how much benefit does it give you? How much money does it circulate in the economy? How much does that help? What are the positive effects of that? And what happens if we don't pass it? So those are the things that I would look to see if this made sense. But right now, I'd be disinclined to look at any of that, since we already give away $6 trillion to the corporations. Why wouldn't we help the average American? And so,
right.
And if you say, no, I'm not going to help the average American, then I say, hey, you know what? Then I want to reconsider whether the Fed should give $4 trillion in guarantees to the corporations. Isn't that fair? All right, let's bring that back. There's no reason we can't bring that back. That's also legislation, right? So let's be fair about this, and let's be fair to the American people. And by the way, as progressives, let's be fair to establishment Democrats that are helping in this, including Kamala Harris. So Kamala Harris joining two good progressives, Bernie Sanders and Ed Markey, in putting this forward. So great, credit where credit is due.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to make a point about how the previous stimulus bill, which did bail out these massive corporations, did not include any type of rule or regulation banning these corporations from using that funding to buy shares of their own stock. So I mentioned that because the argument, Cenk, that you're going to hear from the GOP specifically is, no, but bailing them out makes all the sense in the world because they're the job creators, right? They're the ones who hire people. They're the ones who are going to keep people working for them. But that's not necessarily the case. We've seen over and over again that when it comes to some of these stimulus bills, you bail out these corporations. And what do they do with that money? They turn around and end up firing their employees and buying shares of their own stock. The same happens right after massive tax cuts. Trump cuts the taxes and major corporations decide, yeah, we're going to buy back our own shares. Like that's what happens. So in order for this economy to work, right, if you believe in this notion of free markets and all that, you need people who have money who can go out there and buy things. if the middle class is unable to like feed their families, what makes you think they're going to be able to go out there and buy your products? They can't. That's why the stock market is artificially inflated. It's not because of consumer activity. It's because they're going out there and they're doing stock buybacks. Yeah. It's just crazy. Yeah.
Anyone who talks about how public corporations will do the right thing and will be patriotic, or people like Nancy Pelosi who say that they're surprised that a public corporation was not patriotic. I mean, I don't know if they're deeply unintelligent, deeply ignorant, or just playing you. It's all theater. And they know a public corporation has a fiduciary responsibility to maximize profit. It's not a human being. It cannot feel an emotion like patriotism, and it cannot act in a so-called patriotic way. Otherwise, the CEO will be fired and replaced. It can't do any of that. It's a machine. Once it gets hooked into the stock market and it's a public corporation, it becomes part of a greed machine that is unstoppable. So private companies are different, but public corporations are never, ever going to voluntarily do the right thing. It's an absurd conversation to have. And they have it every time as if it's true. So look, on the other hand, credit where credit is due. Here is a significant faction of the Democratic Party pushing to actually get relief to actual Americans who are human beings and not corporations. So if they keep going that direction, wonderful. All we care about is the facts and passing the right legislation.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.